Yo, what's going on, you guys? So today I'm going to be making a tier list for all the heroes in Dota 2. Now I might be spending a little bit more time on some than others, but I just wanted to mention that this is my very first tier list video, and if you guys want to see me do a tier list of some other game or something else, please leave a comment down below. I'd be happy to do one of these. And this has been like a really popular trend lately, and I never really jumped onto it, but being a League of Legends player, maybe you guys think it would be funny if I made a tier list. Now this is just going to be my opinion, and obviously you guys may or may not agree with it all. But anyways, it's an alphabetical order, and let's get right into it. Abaddon, Abaddon, whatever you want to call him. He is okay. Also, I don't know why this is so laggy. So I'll put him in the B tier. He's not the greatest character, and also, he's really just like a tank. He doesn't do too much, in my opinion. He can heal his allies. He's an okay support. Not the best, in my opinion. Okay, now we got someone who actually is freaking stupid broken. Okay, why is this website so laggy? Sorry, this website is really bad. Alchemist is freaking... I mean, you can stop his healing, of course, but I mean, he is just a monster. I don't know if he needs a nerf or something, but I think, in my opinion, he's one of the best in the whole game. Like, he's just way too strong. Okay, now we have Ancient Apparition. Ancient Apparition, I like him a lot, but let's be honest, he is okay. He's not amazing, and actually he's a counter to Alchemist, right? He can stop his healing, but at the same time, Ancient Apparition really dies super easily, and I would think most of his first items, like, he has to spend gold to like just be able to survive. Like, that's the smallest fight. Like, he just dies pretty much instantly, and he's not really amazing at farming, so it's like he has to be in the fight, but also he doesn't really need to because his ult is global. I don't know. He needs some help. Okay, now we got Anti-Fun. Extreme tryhard character. Easily one of the most annoying in the whole game, in my opinion, and also he is like super tanky, and I don't really understand why this guy has to have everything. He has mobility, crazy mobility, blink dagger in his kit. He has a freaking spell shield. I think it actually reflects spells, so it's like the Lotus Orb. And then he's agility, so obviously he has like armor for days. I don't know, it's really stupid. I hate anti-mage. Okay, now we have Arc Warden. Now, Arc Warden is not broken, but he is darn good. But he actually requires skill. He actually requires skill, so that's why he's not in the S tier. He's not so stupid that he doesn't require any skill. I don't know if Alchemist requires skill, but he's just good anyways. Anti-mage is like just brain dead. Don't even bother playing the game. All you do is just farm and farm and farm and farm. But Arc Warden is actually pretty difficult to use, but he is very powerful. And obviously, there's a famous clip out there. I can't remember what it is. I reacted to it not too long ago. But Arc Warden, one of his abilities, like, negates auto attacks. So he, like, saved the Ancient. I don't know. It was pretty nasty, if you ask me. Okay, now moving on, if this website ever loads. We have Axe. Now, Axe, Seb, he is a very, very strong tank. Is he broken? Not really. He's just all around very good. He's a tank. He's a tank, he takes damage. Okay, now we have, if the website loads, please. We have Bane. Bane puts people to sleep forever. But is Bane really all that amazing? I think I played Bane once, and it was kind of like, she I think it's a girl. Bane can like set up a fight really well. Like, she can put the carry to sleep and then have everyone come in. But I feel like for normal play, like, people are just gonna suck with Bane. Let's be honest. It's really like a high elo pick. Okay. Another high elo pick coming in, hot Bat Rider. He is kind of like Bane, where he kind of just like solos out one person, and obviously he can take them with him. But is it someone that is actually hard to use? Yes. And is it broken? No. It's just a good character all around. Okay. Now we're moving on to Beastmaster. Beastmaster, he has like a stun, and he has like pets, and I know one of the pets is like invisible and it can be a ward. This guy is alright. I think he's kind of another high elo pick, right? You have to control those pets and stuff. But I will say he's probably more useful than these other four, right? Like, he has just a strong fight, and these people, yes, they are strong in fights, can be very strong, but he's a little bit easier to use, except for the pets. Obviously, if you want to be really good with him, probably gonna have to be high elo. But anyways, moving on. I don't know why this website is so laggy. It's crazy. So sorry. Okay. Now we have Bloodseeker. Bloodseeker, I'll be completely honest with you guys. He's completely trash. Do I really have to say any more? Bloodseeker is terrible. He is like a gimmick. In my opinion, he's like really gimmicky. At least right now, I think he's terrible. Maybe some people are going to disagree. I would say, like, when people get better at the game or whatever, obviously there's some coordination. Like, if he uses his ultimate, like if Pudge hooks the guy, then they're automatically probably going to die, right? Because of his ultimate. But let's be honest, he's not that good. I don't know. I feel like maybe he could be like a support, but I think he's one of the worst. Okay, now we have Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter, he's like an assassin that is not tanky. And he like steals gold when he hits. But in my opinion, this is one of those guys that's like, I mean, you could probably use him, but at the same time, it's like, I don't want him on my team. When's the last time you heard, hey, I want, like, oh, sweet, we got Bounty Hunter on it? No one says that. Nobody's excited to have Bounty Hunter on their team. Let's be completely honest. Okay, now you guys might be surprised by this next one. Brewmaster. I think he's more useful than these two. He has, like, a slow, and I don't know, when he, like, separates into the three people, it's hard to use. This guy's hard to use, I think. Like, hard to master, probably. I could be completely wrong on that, but he's a little bit more useful than these two. Like, he's a little less gimmicky, and like, he does have a nice slow, and he's kind of tanky, does some damage, but you know, he's not as hard to use, I guess. So he does better overall, I would have to say. I don't know what I was trying to say. I kind of came out wrong. Okay, now we have one of the most cancerous characters. Will this site ever load? Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, shoot. If you ever want to make a tier list, I don't know if this is the right site, because... Okay, please stop. Please stop. Please stop. Dude, it's not responding at all. It's crazy how this is unresponsive. Oh, there we go. Okay, so Bristleback... honestly, I played him before, and he's not as broken as you would think, but obviously, one of the best tanks in the game. I would say more tanky than Axe. I don't know. I guess he's like the same as Axe, let's be honest. Now, Broodmother. Can this site load? Okay, I gotta stop complaining. Broodmother is definitely a high elo pick. This is not something that you're gonna be playing for fun. This is not something that you're gonna see people in the pubs playing, like, you know, stomping with. But I will say it's like an immortal pick. If you're immortal, you might be a Broodmother player. And I can't say that she's like S tier, even though I've seen some S tier plays from Broodmother, but she's also not useless. So I can't put her down below, even though she's very difficult to use. So anyways, let's move on. Centaur, I was going to say Windrunner. War Runner, or we'll just call him Centaur, because I actually don't know this. I don't want to mess anything up. He's really stupid and tanky. Usually when I see him in games, he's always like 5 levels below everyone, but somehow he just one-shots them, or like starts some like disgusting fight. I think he needs a nerf or something. I don't know. He's way too strong. Okay, next guy. Chaos Knight. Chaos Knight, I gotta put him in A. He is tanky, he has a stun, he has illusions, he does insane damage, easy to use. Okay, now we got my boy, Chen. Chen, secretly, is one of like the best supports in the game. But, okay, something about Dota 2, I swear, there's like the kit of the character, right? Like all their abilities, it's like, okay, this ability makes sense, this ability makes sense, this ability is random, this ability makes sense. That's how Chen is. Chen's Q makes sense, Chen's W is out of the blue and nowhere. Like, why is he a micro? I don't know. I mean, I guess you can support with it, you know, there's abilities you get from the jungle creeps, but at the same time, it's like, why not just have it be something else? But his Q makes sense, his W, in my opinion, does not make sense. His passive makes a lot of sense, and his ultimate makes a lot of sense. He is definitely a very high elo pick. You need high skill to be good with him because, like, I would say most people, including me, when you play Chen, it's like you're not even it's like you only have 3 skills. Like, honestly, who is using his W? Let's be completely honest here. Like, nobody is going to be using his W. It's really, really crazy. Moving on, we have Clinks. Clinks is like an assassin and also has like a little skeleton. I know he does like decent damage. And he's also an agility character, which means he's tanky. But I don't see too much of him. I'm guessing he's not very strong right now or something. So yeah, I'll put him in the middle there. Okay, now we got somebody who I think is maybe overrated. Clockwork. I think Clockwork is not an A tier, and I would say he's like a B tier. Okay, so Clockwork actually takes like a little bit of skill, and he can be very good. Obviously, Clockwork can be very good. I actually really like Clockwork, but I think to effectively, like, have him be effective on the team, the player has to be really good. It's not just like a brain dead, bristleback axe, just run in and die, or like not even die because you're unkillable. Clockwork is definitely takes a lot of skill and positioning because it's easy to get away from him. In a way, like if you don't get ulted by him, and you can like force stuff out of the cogs or like break the cogs, I mean, he's not really gonna do too much to you. Let's be honest. But if the player is good, obviously they're gonna ult, you know, like the Wind Ranger or something, and the enemy team's gonna have some trouble. But I can't say like he's like the best support in the game. He's obviously really good, but I think the player requires a lot of skill. That's why he's in C. Okay, moving on. We have Crystal Maiden. Crystal Maiden, I think, is actually pretty slept on. Not only is she easy to use, her W is also a disarm. Disarm and root. She can... Okay, I don't know why she has like that jungling ability. Her W is also like a jungling ability. That's like a confusing part. But she gives passive mana to her whole team. That's like a big thing. Because in the game, you're buying like items to replenish mana. If you have her on the team, you're probably saving a lot of money. And that means your team's probably going to be ahead in gold, at least slightly for like the whole game. Until you lose or whatever. That's what I would think. And her ult gives her a bunch of extra armor. I think I'm going to actually move her down to B. She's really good, but the player also needs skill. And I would say they don't really need skill because everyone just goes Glimmer Cape and they just be babies. They just sit there and be a baby. But, I mean, I would think you need some skill with her. She's just a good all-around character. Let's be honest here. Okay, now we have Darkseer. Darkseer is my boy. Sadly, I don't know where to put him. Because if I was doing all the characters I play, they would be S tier, right? Like, I think I like these characters a lot, so that's where I would put them. But is he really that useful overall in the game? Are a lot of people playing Darkseer? Not really. I'm not even the best Darkseer player. I gotta say, I gotta put him with Clockwork. I really like Clockwork, I really like Darkseer. But Darkseer is like... I think you gotta have the right mindset. He's definitely a team-oriented character and requires a lot of skill. Like, I don't know how to do the stacking with the vacuum and everything. And, you know, but he can be really effective. His ultimate is very good. His E is very good. His W is very good. His Q is very good. And by very good, I mean, like, they can change an entire team fight. Is he a good 1v1 character? Not really. But is he a good teamfight character? Yes. But does he require probably a lot of skill and a lot of patience? Yes, so that's why I'm putting him in C. Because he's not a brain-dead, oh, I don't care about team, bro. I just sit in jungle and I farm whole game. And then I end the game because I'm unkillable. Like Anti-Mage. And Alchemist, too. Alright. Now we have Dark Nobody. Kind of a brain dead character. Just has like an AoE rooting, fears everything. I'll put it in C. And this one, I don't think requires too much skill to play, but it's just not that good. Like if Darkseer in Clockwork and Chen were as easy to play as Dark Willow is, they'd probably be A tier. Dark Willow is pretty not that good. She's not that good, and she's really easy to use. I think they need to like change some of her skills, maybe. Like, she's okay for damage. I feel like she's a weird support. She's not I mean, she can ult to get her team out of trouble. But, she's like kind of a niche pick. That's what I think. She's not like an all-around... Like, Crystal Maiden, you could pick like any game. And she'd be okay. You know, I mean, I'm sure there's like counters and stuff you wouldn't want to pick, but that's my reasoning. She's like kind of a niche pick, easy to use, but she still sucks. Okay, now we have Dazzle. Dazzle is definitely a freaking... I'm just going to go with A tier. The whole reason he's A tier is because of Shallow Grave. Let's be completely honest, that ability can sometimes like determine the entire game. You put Shallow Grave on the guy who's doing 1,000,000 damage, and their whole team can't kill him because he does 1,000,000 damage, and he can't die because of Shallow Grave. And then I know Dazzle like slows, he has like a poison or something, and then he heals. But Shallow Grave is why he's an A. Okay. Now moving on to one that I was going to put in S anyway. 1v5 Extraordinaire, Dark Prophet, Death Prophet. Easily an S tier. Why is she an S tier? because her exorcism lasts for freaking ever. And okay, I know what you're thinking. To actually get healed by exorcism takes forever, right? But really, what you build on her is like spell lifesteal. You build like survivability. So you're just doing like these massive amounts of damage. And not to mention your E has like charges, so you're just like dealing out massive amounts of damage. And if you have any spell lifesteal, you're healing, and you probably have built tank items. She's honestly a 1v5 machine. If you go watch some of my videos of me playing her, like even I can 1v5 with her. She's easy to use, and she 1v5s. That's my opinion. Obviously, it's up to speculation. You guys might not agree, but her ult is also not magical damage, it's physical damage. So I think it even goes through Black King Stupid. I hate Black King Bar. It's the stupidest item in the game in my opinion. But it even goes through that, I think. So they're going to take 0 damage from it. I mean, no, I mean they're going to take damage from it. They're not going to not take 0 damage from it. But I might be wrong on that. But still, she can 1v5 like everything, and I don't know, I've done it myself. I think she's one of the best carries. At least like mage carries. Okay, moving on. Can't talk. We have Disruptor. Now Disruptor is kind of a unique situation. He is kind of decent in lane, right? He's got like that thunder. And he kind of has a unique ability where he can bring someone back into a fight who's like escaped. He can trap people. He can mute them so he can like make sure they can't use items, they can't use spells. And it's a weird situation because he's definitely a team-oriented guy, but he has a decent laning phase like as a support. I'm going to put him in B because he's not amazing, but he is very useful, and he's not that hard to use. He is very useful and not that hard to use. Okay, now moving on. I would put this guy in C. I'll put him in B. So Doom. Doom, he can eat creeps and get their abilities. I would put him in C, but he's like pretty easy to use. His ultimate is really good. It can mute someone and do damage to them for like, I don't know, it's like ridiculous. It's like 30 seconds. The damage is like very slow and it's over time. But he's a good like dueler. Like he's very good at 1v1 and he's very easy to use. Like you shouldn't be surprised if you see this in a pub. Man, is he B or C though? He's really like the only thing amazing, like he sucks in team fights except for his ult. You know what? I'll put him in C. He can be really good, but he's not super useful except for like a 1v1. I feel like he's really good early on, and if you're good with him, obviously you're going to get a lot of gold and be ahead. But it's just hard to say that, you know, Doom is a good team fighter. It's hard to say that because he's got like the Devour, he's got like the movement speed and burning thing, he's got like the empowered auto attack, which is a stun or root. No, it's a stun, I think. Either one, but it's like a very short stun or root, which is decent for team fight. But the ultimate, like if you use that on like anti-mage can't run away. It's hard to say. I don't know. I feel like he's kind of a niche pick as well, but can be very good. Okay, let's move this camera down and make it smaller. There we go. Okay, moving on. Dragon Knight. Oh my god, that's the guy in the anime. Oh my god. Very easy to use. Tanky. Has stun, so he's good in teamfight. Need I say any more? Okay, Drow Ranger. Agility character. Guess what? She's in A tier. Because she's an agility character. She has a silence. She's an agility character. She does damage. Okay, Earth Spirit. Now this one's controversial. Earth Spirit. As you know, and I know because I've actually played him before, Earth Spirit is very hard to use. But he can be freaking amazing. But he's very hard to use. So, I'm going to put him overall in the C tier. Why am I putting him in the C tier? The reason I'm putting him in the C tier is because not everyone is good with him. He's very hard to use, and he can be very good, but he can also be completely useless if it's just a normal game. I feel like in general, nobody plays him. But when you actually see someone who play him, he can be one of the best characters. Like, he'll be MVPs, usually. Okay, now I have Earthshaker. Famous character, $1 million Echo Slam. Or $10 million, I can't remember, whatever. Millions of dollars Echo Slam. But let's be completely honest. He's kind of trash. I think he's kind of trash. Agree or disagree with it. He can be very good. Obviously, against like Phantom Lancer, he's very good. But are most people good with him? Probably not. I mean, he is easy to use. He does a lot of damage, but it's kind of like just like a deathmatch character. He's really useless. Like, he's not that great. I think that in like a team pick situation, obviously you can make the right choice with him against someone who makes like illusions or something. But he's not very good. That's my opinion. Obviously he might be able to blow someone up, but he can only take out like one person. He's kind of an assassin, but I feel like kind of trashy. That's my opinion. Okay. Next we have Elder Titan. This guy is one of those niche supports. He puts people to sleep. He does massive HP percent damage, but also I think he's pretty difficult to use. Needs good positioning. Probably easier to use than Earth Spirit, but at the same time, yeah. Anyways, moving on. Ember Spirit. Ember Spirit. Now, if I've ever had an opinion about Ember Spirit, it's that he is stupid and brain dead, very hard to kill, and is brain dead. So guess what? You don't need any skill to play him. You just have to be willing to have no soul and be an agility hero and never die. Because this is what he does. He puts like I want to say remnant. I was thinking of another word for it. He puts like a little thing on the map, and then he can go do whatever he wants. And then when he's in trouble, he just goes, I don't want to be in trouble. Then he goes back to that spot. And guess what? He does a lot of damage, and a lot of low elo people pick him because he's easy to use, and he gets away like Anti-Mage. But he's not as strong as Anti-Mage. That's why he's an A. Because he's stupid, but he's also not as stupid as Anti-Mage. Moving on. We have Enchantress. Enchantress is kind of like a sleeper pick. You wouldn't expect her to be broken, but at the same time, you never really see her be broken that often. She can be really good. She's an amazing duelist. I think one of the best duelists. Because she like can heal herself, and I swear she makes enemies slow. I can't remember if that's it. But the main thing about her is her ability does more damage the farther away an enemy is by the time it hits them, like from her. So she can like use her ability and then blink dagger away, or I can't remember how it works. Something like that. Or they blink dagger away and it does massive damage. But at the same time, it's also kind of a niche pick, and I feel like people who are good with her are very good with her, but at the same time, it's not like going to be the star of the team fight per se. That's my opinion. So she's very good, but only in the right situation. Okay, now we have one of the best characters in the game, the classic Enigma. One of the best team fights that you can possibly ask for. Black Hole. Everyone is like I think it's suppressed. They can't do anything if they're inside it. Correct? I don't remember. But I mean, he can just like win a game with one amazing team fight. He like if he has the right team, he just has to cast his ult. And if he casts his ult in the right time, that could mean they win the game. And it's not too hard to use. That's why I put him in S. Otherwise, he'd probably be in A. I don't think he's too hard to use. Obviously, he has a weird ability where he gets like the little demons that he can use to jungle. So he does get like a lot of gold, and it's not too hard to use the demons, I guess, right? Like I could do it at a slow pace. But even like a noob, they could probably have like a very good team fight by just pressing R. Let's be completely honest. He does a lot of damage, and it's not too hard to use his combo. He's got like the AoE, lots of damage, and then he has like the ult. But if you combine those, it does a lot of damage, and then he also has like a stun. So he can really hold the carry where he wants to hold him for his team to kill him. I don't know. I feel like he's really easy to use. Otherwise, he'd probably be lower on the list. If he was harder to use, he'd probably be lower. So yeah. Oh, look at this. Someone I don't respect who is going to be S tier. Oh my gosh. I hate this guy. Faceless Void. Dota, I don't know why, but they like to give the most annoying characters everything in their kit. Mobility, stun, and like tankiness. Okay, so this guy, he like stuns people. He can like teleport back. It's like Weaver kind of like Echo. Ugh, he is Echo. Oh no, that's disgusting. Anyways, other than that, I think he's agility or strength, one of those. So he's tanky. He does insane damage. He has like that like quick hit. Maybe that's because he gets Echo Saber or something. But he has like a quick stun, and his ult, obviously, he can hold like a whole enemy team there. So if you have like somebody who does AoE damage, like Jakiro, who's coming up on the list, you can't see him. But if you have like Jakiro can just cast his like ultimate, and just the whole enemy team will die because they can't move pretty much. So that's why he's an S. He's kind of like Enigma. He can just completely change the fight with one move, and it's not hard to use, I think. I have actually never played him. Anyways, moving on. Grimstroke. Or should we say Grim Garbage? Because let's be honest, I don't see this guy like ever played. I am guessing he's more of like a niche high elo pick. I don't know much about him, but I do know that I think I've played him like once. He doesn't have like a crazy ultimate like Faceless Void or Enigma. He doesn't have anything like that. I think it's more of a, I don't know what to say, but definitely a harder support to use. That's all I know. So we're going to put him in D because he's not really a duelist. I think he's just like, like a high elo support. And you don't see him too often. I think he's actually probably weaker than Darkseer. I don't know. I think Darkseer is probably better than him. Or more useful than him. That's why he's down here. Because Earth Spirit, let's be honest, you guys in the chat were saying, oh, he's probably S tier in the right hands. Yes, that's probably true. And Grimstroke, I think it's a niche pick. And he's less useful than those niche picks. So, okay, now we got Gyro. Gyrocopter. We got Corky here. I don't know why this page is so unresponsive. But Gyro is garbage. I mean, his ultimate is okay. Who is really going to stay in his ultimate for that long? I mean, he's probably good with someone like Enigma, where they're going to actually be standing, like, locked in place for a little bit, or, like, Faceless Void. He's probably good with those guys. That's what I would think. But, the only thing that he has is his little missile. I mean, shoot, if you need, like, a stun, there's other characters, okay? I think he's pretty garbage. Very niche pick. Like I said, his ultimate might be good with like Faceless Void or Enigma or something, some sort of combination like that, like Magnus, but I think overall he's pretty bad. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. Let's move on to one of the most annoying characters in the game, but certainly not the best. Huskar. Huskar, obviously, a very unique character. Kind of like Tryndamere, I guess, right? He's kind of like Tryndamere, where he does more damage or attacks faster when he has lower health. But he has like tons of health regen, and he usually buys items that give him tons of health regen or whatnot. So he's like usually at like 100 HP, and then nobody can kill him, and he's just killing everything in 1 second. But I will say that he's very good and very easy to use, but he does require some skill. Actually, let's move him down one. He's not super brain dead. He is kind of brain dead, but if anyone like knows what's going on, they can easily take advantage of him if he's like out of position. Because he does use a lot of HP, like I said. If you have someone who's bursty, like can burst him down, and he's not like playing well, obviously it's going to be like him inting all the time. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's hard to say, but even if he's inting, he's probably still doing decent, so that's why he's in B. I just don't think he's as useful in general, like with all the elos in mind, as like, I don't know, some of the other ones above. Like they last a little bit longer than him, even if they play bad. Okay, next we have Invoker. You're gonna be surprised. You're gonna be shocked when I do this. C tier. Okay, why is he C tier? Because he's a high elo pick. He's a high elo pick, and actually, we'll put him in B. Because if this was like a high elo tier list, he would be S. He's not incredibly hard to, like, you could just use like 2 abilities and not switch that often. But if you want to be really good with him, I mean, you have to be really on your toes and know everything that's going on top of like everything else that's going on in the game. So he's like a 3 million IQ character. But he does have some easy to use spells, and like the color of his like orbs or whatever, they are kind of easy to understand. I think the fire one is attack damage, the pink one is movement speed, the other one is like healing or regeneration or something. So like those are pretty easy to use in lane. And then, I mean, like I said, you could just use like the same 2 to 3 spells and still be kind of useful with him in low elo. And obviously in high elo, he's like amazing. Okay, moving on. We have Io. Now, Io is an immortal pick. It's way more useful than all the people in D tier, but I wouldn't say it's easy to use. I think it requires skill to use him. Now, I could be completely wrong, but I think he's probably really hard to use and is like a high elo pick. Now, obviously, one of my viewers, Yamzi, I don't know how you actually would say his Steam name, but Yamzi, Io main, he's ranked like 2,600 in EU, or I think it's maybe overall. Io, a mortal character, mortal player. Anyways, I don't think he's like a general like, oh, I'm gonna play Io this game. It's more like, oh, that's the guy who plays Io. You know, it's a niche pick. Okay, now we got S. Jakiro. Jakiro is a support. In Dota, the supports are like, okay, let's just see how much freaking damage you can possibly deal. It's not really like in League, where League it's like, oh, just peel the carry. Jakiro's like, okay, I'll just 1v5. Jakiro wants to 1v5, or he can. I mean, he honestly could take at least 3 characters out by himself. But in team fights, oh man, if he's in good position, I mean, he's adding so much freaking damage. And at level 25, he pierces spell immunity. So his ult pierces spell immunity, I mean. So he can just do massive amounts of damage no matter who it is. And I've been in plenty of games where Jakiro just absolutely just like burns the whole enemy team to a crisp. I think he's super easy to use, so it makes him useful all the time. And I think he deserves a spot in S tier. Moving on, mates. God. One of the most cancerous in the whole game, in my opinion. Who screams his name when he spins. Juggernaut. So, Juggernaut is easily broken. Way too tanky. The healing ward, he has a healing ward, his spell immunity in his kit. Okay, he does damage while he's spell immune. And then obviously Omni Slash. I don't think he can take damage during that. I don't know, maybe there's an exception. Maybe Blade Mail is an exception, you know, something like that. But this guy is unkillable by auto attacks. Let's be completely honest here. Unkillable by auto attacks. And does massive, massive amounts of damage because he's an agility character. And he buys damage. That's what he does. I don't see him being in any other tier. Let's be completely honest here. Okay, moving on. Keeper of the Light. Keeper of the Light can actually be kind of clutch. But he's kind of hard to use. More of a niche pick. I mean, honestly, a lot of the niche picks, they suck a lot of the time. They can be really good if it's a character you play a lot. I'm pretty sure, like, if you want to be good with Keeper of the Light, you have to play him all the time. But I just want to say he's probably not like as brain dead as freaking Axe, or as brain dead as Bristleback, or as brain dead as Dazzle. Dazzle is one of the most brain dead actual supports, right? He just presses, he's like, oh, a fight's happening, Shallow Grave. You know, Keeper of the Light actually has to do some work, and I'm pretty sure his ult is like a charm, like the taunting. I think it like messes with that. If the enemies are like near it, it'll like make them stop doing stuff for like half a second or something. I can't remember if that's actually it. So it is pretty hype. You know what? I'll move him up. He'll be in B. If that's actually the same ult. If they didn't change it or something, I think that can be the same ult. I mean, if that's the same ult, he can be in B tier. Because really, even if the player is a noob, they can just press R. Okay, now we have a cancerous character who, even if you're a noob, is really easy. And he can just he has farming built into his kit. The cleave built into his kit. Super easy farming. Super easy like lockdown. And easy to use abilities. I think all his abilities are very easy to use. Like, I even know them off the top of my head. It's like he has the Torrent, which is like knocks him up. He has like the X marks the spot, which brings him back to the X. He has the Ghost Ship, which comes in and stuns them. Big area of damage. And then I think it's the Cleave, unless that's like a talent or something. Very easy to use. Pretty brain dead. Now moving on to 0 IQ required. Legion Commander. Now I think Legion Commander is probably, let's put her in A. For the reason I'm about to say. I think she's probably easy to play around. but she is so freaking good. There's no denying that this character is insanely easy to use. All you do is, first you get Blade Mail, then you get Blink Dagger, and you have some pair of boots. These are the 3 items you need. Once you have these 3 items, you can start assassinating whoever you want. And I would say, unless your positioning is super off and you have absolutely no vision, you're probably going to be successful with whoever you go against. Really easy to use, and later in the game she can be extremely deadly. Okay, now this guy coming up, I'm actually going to put him in A, Leshrac. He's kind of a sleeper pick, but I think he's pretty easy to use and does way too much damage. Moving on, we have Lich, S tier. Why is Lich S tier? Because he has freaking everything in his kit. He has a fear. He has, like, the armor, the slowing armor. And I don't know if that actually adds armor to the character. I can't remember. I can't remember, because I know I haven't played him since he's been different, but he's easy to use and extremely useful. What could be better than that for a support? Extremely easy to use and very useful. All his abilities are useful. He doesn't have one ability that's like kind of niche, like Chen. Q is good. The slowing and attack speed for your allies, kind of, on an enemy. And then Holy Persuasion. That's like the weird part of his kit. That makes no sense to me. Obviously, if you're good at the game, it probably makes sense to you, but the other 2 abilities make sense. All of Lich's abilities make sense, and they're super easy to use, and they're super good. Alright, moving on. Cancerous Lifestealer. This guy can get out of trouble, is immune to magic if he uses his stupid ability, and can 1v5, and I think he, like, has insane lifesteal. I don't know, his name's Lifestealer. I've never actually played him, but I know he can be very dangerous and really stupid. Yeah. Okay, Lina. Very easy to use, but very garbage. She's good at nuking one character. She can push really well. She's probably good at laning. But man, is she easy to kill. I mean, the only items you really want are like like mobility stuff. Now I know you're gonna say, oh, she's like the same as Death Prophet, but Death Prophet is her exorcism, like she can just heal all this damage. Lina is kind of like Death Prophet, but she has like the burst. She's just a burst character. Death Prophet is kind of like sustained damage. And that's what really separates these two. Like if she was more like Death Prophet, she'd probably be up higher. But man, I don't think Lina is all that great. Now she can be good, obviously. She's a good mid laner. But she is just not as useful as like Ancient Apparition. She's just like a burst character. She's not as useful as Keeper of the Light. She's not as useful as Disruptor. She's not as useful as Ancient Apparition. Okay, but you know what? I'm gonna pull this guy down. Because she's as useful as Batrider. All they do is go after one person. That's pretty much what's going on here. Alright. Moving on. This guy is all around good. He's good, but he is kind of a gimmick. Lion is kind of gimmicky, but he can be very good. He's not like Jakiro. He has to actually kind of be in there. But yes, he can freaking turn the fight. He can be very, very good. But he does require some skill. But at the same time, all his abilities are good. I think if he was like a little bit easier to use, he would be at least A tier, if not S. Okay. Now, moving on. This one is hard to pick. This one's hard to say. I think I'm going to change where he goes, actually. Lone Druid. This is a very high elo pick because he is building items for his companion and for himself, right? So he requires a lot of skill. I'm going to put him in D, but I'm going to tell you why. If you're not good at the game and you pick this guy, you might be feeding the enemy like 300 gold or 200 gold all the time. This guy requires a lot of skill, tons of skill, and I mean, he can be very good, obviously, but I think he is one of the if not the hardest character to use in the game, he's definitely one of them. And just picking him without being good is going to be like you're not even playing the game. That's my opinion. It's hard to put him anywhere. Because really, he could be up here. He could be an S tier if a pro player is playing him. But I would say in general, he's way down here because he's so hard to play. I don't know where else I could put him. But just so you know, he is very useful. He's just so hard to play that he can't be higher than this. The skill ceiling is way too, like most people are here, and the skill required is like way up here to play him. To even be close to playing him, it's gotta be way up here. So if you're down here and you pick him, it's like you're just throwing the match. So I have to put him at D. My only option. Okay. Luna, easy to use, does lots of damage. Lycan. I don't know if I should put him S tier. Because I never played him. But man, he used to be the highest win rate, I thought. Plus, he's freaking good. He's an amazing duelist. Tanky. Has like... let's put him in A. He requires skill. Requires skill, but can carry the game alone. Magnus. Incredible support. Requires skill. I'll put him in S. Maybe we'll change it later. Magnus, obviously, if you've seen my reaction to the Arise video, can set up team fights, can solo people, but more importantly, he sets up team fights like no other. Okay, now I got Mars. He has one ability that we want. That's it. Medusa. Not unkillable. She's all about her mana, right? Her like mana shield or whatever. Kind of like Diablo 2. I think it's like when she runs out of mana, because her shield like takes when she takes damage with her shield, it like eats her mana. But then she like can steal mana. So she can obviously 1v5, but she does have a huge weakness that can be exploited, I would have to say. That's why she's not S. Otherwise, she's S. Okay. Easy S. Can win the game alone. Do I have to say any more? He can win the game alone. Always going to be higher level than any... If he does require a lot of skill, but if you're good at all with him, I think you can win the game alone. Like, it's hard to say Lone Druid is not higher. You know, like, he's hard... He's probably equal... He's probably just slightly easier to use than Lone Druid. But man, he can win the game alone. I don't really have to say any more, I don't think. He can win the game alone. Okay, Mirana. I think it depends how you play her. So I'm gonna put her where I think as a support. She's okay. Mirana's okay. Obviously, my favorite character. She's easy to use, decent support. Late game, she's pretty useless. Only has one ability. Well, she has like 2 abilities. She has like 1.5 abilities late game. Moving on. Okay, we have an annoying looking character. Obviously good. Monkey King, obviously good. Does a lot of damage. I think he's agility, so he's stupid. He can hunt people down a lot better than some of the other assassins. And obviously he's pretty good at escaping. Very unique character. He does have some major weaknesses, like if you cut down the tree or whatever, he gets major stun. Okay, moving on, because I don't have too much to say about him. This character is so good it needs to be removed from the game. Remove this character from the game. Morphling needs to be removed from the game. I don't care what anyone says. Stupid character. Pretty much unkillable, and he's like way better than Rubik. He can be any of the characters he wants on the enemy team for one, I can't remember, it's like 20 or 30 seconds. And not only that, once he becomes them, he has reduced cooldowns. So first off, he has like good abilities, and he can be unkillable with his like switching of stats and stuff. It's strength and agility too. He's needs to be changed or removed. He's too stupid. Okay, but now we actually have an S tier that deserves S tier. I think she deserves S tier. Naga Siren. Amazing ult. Can set up a team fight. It gives you, I think, like 5 seconds. 5 whole seconds to get your team in position to team fight. Incredible. Like, that is as big as Faceless Void. It's as big, well, Enigma can actually like kill them with his ult, but it's like as big as Faceless Void. And not only that, she is incredible at shoving and can root people. And is usually like tanky as heck because she's agility. So obviously S tier. Okay, now we have a tricky one. Nature's Prophet, which is currently, I almost want to say he's like the lowest win rate. I think that's like the last time I checked. I can't remember. I swear he somehow is. He's so good. I would say he's not S tier because he's kind of like a weird duelist, but he is so good at map pressure. He can be anywhere he wants. His ultimate is amazing. But he is kind of like, you know, not as solid as some of the people up here. That's my opinion. He's not as solid as these people. Like, I think Naga Siren is probably an equal pusher to him, but more useful than him in team fights. Like, he's not that incredible in team fights. He's more like play alone. So obviously he can be S tier. He's kind of like between S and A tier. He's really good. Okay. Now we have Nekphoros. Nekphoros is a weird one. I personally like him. But the thing about him is he's just like a duelist. All he is a duelist. And he can carry the match, but the reason he's B and not lower is because he's super easy to use. Anyone can play him. Noobs can play him and still be just as good. He's really easy to use. Very good at laning. Let's be completely honest. He's very, very good at laning. He heals himself. Very good at laning. And then when he kills creeps, he like heals himself more. Like, he doesn't really need those regen items, I think. I might be wrong. They might have changed that. I haven't played him in a long time, but he's very good at laning and super easy to use. Is he super useful in team fights? He's kind of like an assassin. His ultimate can be very good, but it's like you got to get him to that threshold, and then he executes him. But if you don't execute him, it barely does like anything. So he can be really good, but he can be kind of useless. But since he's so easy to use, we'll put him in the middle. Okay, now we have a interesting one. Night Stalker. And now the game like starts at night too. I wonder if that gives him a major advantage. But Night Stalker, he can carry super hard. I don't know what to say about him, because he might be higher. We'll put him in A. He can really like 1v5. Yeah, he can really 1v5. but he's not like super amazingly solid as these guys. He's definitely like a duelist, I think. He's not like a huge team fight. It's hard to say much about him. Moving on though. NYX Assassin. NYX is very good. And that like spiky shield thing, I swear when they like cast a spell or like attack, they get stunned. Super good support. And also an assassin. I don't know much about him, but really annoying character. We'll put him in B. I think it takes skill to use it. I changed my mind. Okay, now we definitely have a clear S tier coming up here. And it's no surprise that it's freaking this guy. Ogre. Ogre is way too tanky. Way too tanky, way too stupid, way too easy to use. They need to make him less tanky. That would be cool. Right now it's like, just don't auto attack him. Do not auto attack him, because guess what? It does. It's like auto attacking Juggernaut, and when you auto attack Juggernaut, you might as well just like be punching a wall. You're not doing anything except hurting yourself. Doesn't do anything. Okay. Okay. Omni Knight. Why would he not be S tier? He is definitely like he peels hard. He peels super hard. And he can reduce all damage. He can keep everyone alive. Everyone within a radius. And then I think his Aghanim Scepter is like a mini version of that. He can put it on one person. He is like a super dazzle. Obviously, maybe a little bit harder to use, but... Okay, moving on. This is a tough one. Now I know you're thinking, why didn't I just... man... Yeah, no, we'll put it in B. Okay, the reason Oracle is in B and not like S or A is because it's so hard to use. It's so weird, and it can do a lot of damage, and it can be very useful. And the reason it's not lower like Chen is because if you press R on one of your teammates, like let's say I press R on Death Prophet, and then I just keep, like spamming E on Death Prophet or whatever, she's never gonna die. And even when the ult is up, she's not gonna die. She's just gonna be full health. So it's not too hard to like save a teammate, but I feel like to actually like play the game overall with Oracle, it's super hard. It's a weird character. You gotta like use all your abilities correctly to heal your teammate without damaging him. And the Q ability is a bit strange. It's a weird character. It can be very good, obviously, but it's definitely a high elo type character. Okay. Let us continue. OD. Cancerous. Wait, silencer. Misclick. See how the laggy this site is? Silencer, A tier. No. B tier. Can be very good, very squishy. OD, broken as heck. Pangolier. Honestly, he's solid. He's solid. Very good laner. Very useful in team fights. Definitely a duelist, but it can be good in team fights. Death Prophet. Death Prophet. Phantom Assassin might as well be Death Prophet. Pretty much unkillable. Phantom Assassin, really stupid, as you've seen. So stupid I can play as support and win the game. Build 0 damage, build 0 items that Death Prophet normally buys, and I am one of the best players in the match. Just due to her agility, her evasion, and her ultimate passive, which is crit. Takes no skill to play. That's why I love Phantom Assassin support. It's easy to play. Alright. Cancer Lancer. This guy's broken. Late game, all the illusions are draining mana. There's like 50 illusions. What a stupid character. They need to put a limit on the illusions or something. I don't understand. This character is really stupid. Anyone who picks this character is just... I mean, this is... Some of these are S tier because they're actually good. This one is just S tier because it's too stupid. Okay, moving on. Absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. If this will ever load. Let's load, please. I don't know why this page is so unresponsive right now. Phoenix, easily D tier. So bad. It's like a really niche character. It's kind of like this gyro. The ult lasts so long. It's not that good of a character, and it has like that healing beam that like does damage too. You know what? It's more useful than gyro. It has that healing beam, but it is a very niche pick, and I don't know why everyone keeps playing it. It's not that good, unless you have the good team for it. If you have like Enigma, and you can like use the egg to like make the stun go forever or whatever. You know what I mean? It's not an easy character to use. It's not an easy character to use, and the only useful things about it are like that healing beam. Other than the egg. That's what I think. It's... I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's really not that good. If I have Phoenix on my team, I'm not excited. Let's be honest. I'm personally not excited at all. Okay, we got Puck. Puck is pretty bad. Unless you're good. But I put him in B tier because I'm a complete noob, but I can be good with him. I think he's an amazing duelist. Puck can be a very good duelist. And he's a decent team fighter with his ult. He's a decent team fighter with his W. He can initiate very easily. He can escape very easily. It's not too hard to use him. Is he amazing? Is he super brain dead like Death Prophet? Is he super brain dead like Juggernaut? Not exactly, but he is pretty darn good. I'm sad about this next one. Pudge. C or D tier, easily. If there was a tier between C and D, I would put him there. I'm just going to round up, you know, to be nice. Pudge is one of the worst in the game. Why is he one of the worst? Because he's all based on one ability. His ultimate is pretty good too. Like if you use Blink Dagger and then use his ultimate, he's okay. But all he is one ability that costs way too much mana and has way too long of a cooldown. It's like 20 seconds at level 1, I think. I mean, that is so useless. 20-second cooldown at level 1. And doesn't even guarantee a kill. 20-second cooldown at level 1. This is like an ego character. And obviously, if you're someone who comes from League of Legends, like I like Pudge because I'm used to using characters with a lot of skill shots. But his hook is not instant. It's not instant. And that like can sometimes mean that you're going to catch creeps because you're thinking it's going to come out instant. Like if you come from League, you play Blitzcrank, it doesn't come out instant like that. So when I play Pudge sometimes, I miss hooks because I'm not ready for that. Like I think it's going to come out instant. And like I said, he is pretty bad. Now he can be very massive and be like the main tank in your game. But I would say a lot of the times he's like 1 in 9 and is doing nothing the whole game. He can be very good, but I would say more than half the time he's really bad. Okay, now we have an interesting one coming up. If this page will respond. We have Pugna. Pugna. A very interesting character who does require a lot of skill to use, but even if you're not very good with him, it's kind of easy to understand his abilities. And in my opinion, that makes him easy to use. His abilities are easy to understand, and a lot of them are just point and click. And even if you suck, you could just put those nether wards in the trees before a team fight, and hopefully kill the enemy team with them because they're going to cast spells. So for that reason, I put him in B. Queen of Co-op. Queen of Pain. Not a very amazing character. I gotta say she's more useful than Got Gyro, the worst character in the game, easily one of the worst. But she's not that amazing. I mean, like, if you're really good with her, obviously you're gonna be good. But even with her crazy mobility, she's not that amazing. She doesn't do a ton of damage except for ultimate. She has a decent, like, poison dagger or whatever it is. But in my opinion, she's not that amazing. I'd like to see what you guys think about that, but that's my opinion. Okay, Razor. This is hard to say because I know a pro player who uses him. I'll put him in B. He could be like an S tier, but he's hard to use. But he's also agility, so it makes him unkillable. Okay, Riki. Guess what? He's an agility character. He has 11 armor when he doesn't build any armor because he builds agility. He has 11 armor at like freaking 12 minutes or something in one of my matches. Unkillable by auto attacks. Unkillable in lane. Goes invisible. Decent assassin. And like I said, agility. So he gets armor. Moving on. Rubik. I'll put him in. It's hard. It's hard to say what Rubik does. It's hard to say what Rubik. He's like S or A tier. He's in between. He's not as stupid as Morphling. Because Morphling is like a better Rubik. Morphling is like the Rubik that can go in and not die. And obviously, if you watch like pro matches, Rubik is always making the craziest plays of all time. Kid Trigger. Bro, you got Alk, DP, and Enigma right on. They picked every game in pro games. I know I do. Because I'm in all those pro matches. So Rubik, I feel like he's not as good as Morphling. Obviously, he doesn't... The one benefit to Rubik is like he can hold one spell from one person and one spell from another. He doesn't have to be Invoker. He doesn't have to be that guy. But at the same time, Morphling is way stronger than Rubik. If this was a duel, Rubik versus Morphling would win, I think, 10 times out of 10. Unless he had no items and Rubik had 3 Dagons. You know? I feel like that's the only way Rubik is going to win. Moving on. I think these ads are what's killing this page. We have, if it'll load, Sand King. Sand King is kind of like an S tier when it comes to team fights. But the problem with Sand King is I feel like he's not as useful as these guys. But he is like really good. He's decent at laning, and his ultimate is what makes him the most useful, I think. Like the epicenter. It's like a big AoE damage. And he can initiate pretty well. I kind of want to put him in S tier. I kind of want to put him in S tier. I just don't think he's as good as those S tier characters. It's hard to say for me. Between S and A tier, for sure. Like, he's as useful as Luna, for sure. He's as useful as Nature's Prophet. He's as useful as Kunkka. It's hard to say. Shadow Demon. You're gonna hate me because I personally like this character. After trying him, I actually like him. But you know what? If we're being real, I think he's like a gimmick. He's a gimmick character. He's not actually good. He's just a gimmick on your team. He's just somebody having fun. Unless you're a pro player, he's just somebody having fun. All he is damage, and his ultimate is sort of a supportive ability. His Q is a supportive ability, sorry. His Q is very supportive, but all he is he is 2 abilities. Let's put him in B. He's 2 abilities. Even if you suck, you can press Q and you can press R. Takes no skill, point and click. So let's do that. But he's a very gimmicky character. And in my opinion, he's not that incredible. Okay. Shadow Fiend. Find. Everyone thinks he's amazing. I know. Everyone thinks he's incredible. Let's be honest here, you guys. You're not a pro player just because you pick Shadow Fiend. He is okay. He's okay. He does damage, he's okay. Not incredible. He's okay. That's my opinion on him. He can be really good, and he can be really bad. I think he's average. Abilities are not the easiest to use, but he's easy to understand. That's what I think. Like, if we're talking overall. Why is this always not responding? What? These tier lists. Okay, now we've got a weird one coming up. Shadow Shaman. I think Shadow Shaman, if anything, is underrated. Shadow Shaman at level I was gonna say level 7. I don't know what it is, but he has a 7-second stun. So he's not only a support, but he does massive damage with his ultimate. He can stun people, and later on he could have like Blink Dagger, and then blink into the carry, stun him for 7 seconds, hold him for 7 seconds, so his team can get him, the guy. And at level like 1 or whatever, his starting attack damage is like 96 or 90 or something. It's like ridiculously high. I'm trying to think of his other abilities though. Okay, he's kind of like Jakiro. He is kind of S tier though. This one's really tough. He's between S and A tier. But let's think about it. I mean, is he more useful than Dazzle? That's hard to say. Dazzle's really easy to use. Shadow Shaman is easier to use than Dazzle. Very, very easy to use. But he also has Hex. He also has the stun. And his ultimate can trap somebody, but also do massive amounts of damage and push. I think he's just more useful. That's what I think. I think he's more useful. Okay, Skywrath Mage. Man, this page really unresponsive today. Swear. I think this is the only time I've ever really wanted to ad block. Skywrath Mage, so... Well, it's a dragon again. Skywrath Mage, he's okay. He's kind of annoying to fight against. Really squishy. He can completely nuke characters, but I mean, he has to spend gold on that. Some of these other characters, like above, they don't need any gold to actually be powerful. For example, Phantom Assassin. You can play her as support and still do whatever you want. You can build whatever you want on Phantom Assassin, and you'll probably win if you're good. Okay, moving on. Oh my goodness. Slardar. S tier tank. Why is Slardar an S tier? He is very tanky, very high movement speed. He can catch up to people. He has insane damage. He can put true sight on an enemy and reduce their armor. So he can reduce armor. You have to spend a lot of gold to reduce armor normally. You have to spend gold to reduce armor normally. Will this drag? It's not even Google Chrome, it's just this website that's messed up. Man, come on. Come on, man. Come on. But Slardar, I mean, you would want him on your team. If you see Slardar in position 3 or something, I feel like he is just who you want on the team. That's my opinion. I want Slardar on my team. He's so good. I mean, he's definitely up here. Maybe he's actually an A tier, to be honest. Like, if you think about like a huge team fight, is he really contributing a ton to a team fight? Not exactly, but other than that, he's extremely solid. He's between S and A tier. Okay, we got Slark, incredibly annoying. But is he S tier? No, he's one of the best assassins in the game. Escapes really easily, initiates and like locks someone in place for a while too. Very good assassin. Snapfire. This one's hard. She's not super useful in the way that the S tier characters are per se, but she does massive amounts of damage, and she's very easy to use. I think her ultimate just makes her an A tier. If it was any worse, she'd probably be B tier. So she's very easy to use, and I just can't put her in S tier. She's very good though. Sniper, overrated, very overrated. Can be very good. Oh, the site was loading so smoothly. It is loading so smoothly until just now. I wish I could refresh the page, but that was just ruin everything. So Sniper is going to be a C. The reason why is because, let's be honest, you actually have to have some skill with him. But the reason he's not a D tier is because he's so easy to use. He's not that amazing, but you have to have good positioning with him, but he dies in 1 second. It's hard to say what he is. Because obviously you could be a Smurf and go like 40-0. So he could be S tier some days. But I would say in general, he's like kind of overrated. I think he's like a Smurf character. I think that's what he is. Because the Smurfs will know, where to be, where to stand, how not to die. And that's the main thing. You just can't die with Sniper or else he's useless. Spectre. This one's kind of tough. She's kind of like Phantom Assassin. Obviously, they're the same person. But I don't think she's as stupid as those characters above. She's a really good tank who does damage and can be anywhere at once. But she doesn't really have any crowd control. She doesn't really have a slow. She doesn't have a stun. If she had a stun or anything, I think she would be S tier. Okay, Spirit Breaker. This one, I think it's an I'll put him in A. Spirit Breaker, A tier. The reason Spirit Breaker is an A tier is because he's very predictable. Obviously, there's a big symbol above the person's head who he's charging. And you can expect him to show up. He is obviously very good. I was thinking about putting him in S tier. He can, hit a carry, keep him in that place. He can initiate for his team. But at the same time, it's really obvious that he's coming by, and the enemy team can prepare for that. They cannot bunch up, or they can do some sort of bait, waste his abilities, get that other team out of position. So I feel like he can be countered very easily, but obviously A tier, very good support, very useful. Storm Cancer. I'll put him in A tier. Okay, why is Storm Spirit A tier? Because he's pretty brain dead, does a massive amounts of damage, and has one of the stupidest mobility in the whole game. I mean, it costs a lot of mana. I think we'll put him in B. because he does require some skill. He's brain dead, but requires some skill. But at the same time, he has like the most annoying mobility. I think some of the most annoying mobility in the whole game. And he also has an annoying smile that I don't like to see ever. I don't want to think about that. I mean, who logs in the game and is like, oh, I want to see Storm Spirit smile. Aw, so cute. Nobody. I wish this website wasn't so annoying. So we'll put him in B tier. If he was easier to use, he would be like A tier. Okay, Sven. A tier. He is like pretty broken. And we'll put him in S. When he gets Aghanim Scepter, he's stupid. Very stupid. And he's unkillable tanky. He's like Juggernaut. Unkillable tanky. Does massive damage. Useful in team fights. Techies. It's a novelty pick. Obviously, this character can be very good and does some of the most damage. I think does more damage than almost anyone in the whole game, except for maybe Phantom Assassin crits, like a massive crit. Techies can do trillion damage, pretty much. But he's not a duelist at all, and it requires a lot of skill to play him. I think he's more useful than the characters below, but he's not as useful as, for example, weirdly enough, I feel like he's not as useful as Shadow Demon. If Techies has no mines placed, I mean, the only thing he can do is press E. Shadow Demon can at least press Q or press R. Techies has like only one ability that can be used if he has nothing set up. Templar Assassin. Templar Assassin, honestly, agility character. I think requires some skill, but the stupid like shield thing she has, that's hard to say, man. It's hard to say. I don't know much about Templar. I've never played Templar Assassin. Don't you love this website? What is wrong? I've never seen anyone have a problem with it. So I think she can be good, requires some skill. Okay. Moving on. Terrorblade. Right? Am I saying it right? How did I drag Underlord? Underlord. Why? Okay, we'll do Underlord. Underlord. Very good. He can root people, he can get his teammates away, very tanky. And does some damage. I think he's kind of underrated. He's more of a high elo pick, but I feel like he's one of those characters that's like, it makes you feel like you're smart. You know, he's like tough to use. Man, he's very useful though. He's like between A and B tier. I feel like he could be like a S tier though, one day. You know, one day when he grows up. What is with this? Okay. Terrorblade, finally, please. This is an A tier. The reason Terrorblade is A tier, because super crazy late game, and his ultimate. No, wait, what is the one that like switches like? Is it his ultimate? The one that like he'll trade life with somebody? He's one of the best duelists. Very surprising duelist, and he's a pusher. He can use his illusions to push. He's kind of like Naga Siren, just not as impactful. That's why he's an A and not S. We've got an S tier, Tidehunter, easily. I mean, he's very tanky, does some damage, but it's really his ultimate. It's easy to see, like, those people with the game-changing ultimates are going to be S. Okay, but this guy, I'm going to have to say, is S tier. Okay, why is Timbersaw S tier? Because he's unkillable. Generally unkillable. Oh, this one's tough. I think we have another S tier. Tinker. Why is Tinker an S tier? Because he can refresh all his abilities, and I'm not saying like he's the most amazing team fighter, but the pressure he puts on the map and like how he clears the lanes and how fast he gets ahead, like that's the main thing. He is not only pushing, like Nature's Prophet is pushing and hitting towers and stuff with his trees, but he is farming while he's pushing. Like Nature's Prophet is not necessarily always getting those creeps, getting all that gold. Tinker, that's all he's doing. He's just killing all the creeps, wiping them out. I think Tinker is definitely S tier because even if you're not amazing with him, you're probably enough into Tinker to know how to like kind of go more, you know, not nonstop, but close to nonstop. You know, you're always doing something. You always know you should be doing something with Tinker because that's the thing. He's always doing stuff. He gets his items real fast. He gets lots of gold, gets lots of XP. He's always ahead. I will say he's, it's hard to say. This one is kind of like A tier, S tier. He's very good. Difficult to use. Difficult to master, rather. He's kind of like easy to use abilities wise, but to like have correct pace and like correct gold per minute is very tough. Okay, now we have a weird one. I'm gonna go with C for Tiny. Now Tiny, as you know, can be one of the best assassins in the game, but I think you need really good positioning and teamwork in order to use him. I feel like he's kind of a niche pick. I don't know. I don't know what to say about Tiny. I mean, he's got like the toss. He's got like the damage. But the toss is like, that's like his only team fight ability, right? I think he has like the rock, the stun, or whatever. He's okay. I'll make him B tier. Let's make him B tier. Treant, this one's hard to use. Otherwise he'd be higher. Very high base attack damage, one of the highest. And obviously the super vision later on. We'll put him in B. He's just hard to use, man. And the way he's useful to his team. Okay, he's like A or B tier because he's the only guy who can heal towers. It's so hard to decide. He's definitely utility. Utility is his middle name. In League, he'd be really good. I don't know. He'd be a high elo pick. If he was in League, let me think about this. If he was in League, he would be a high elo support. He's kind of like a weird, I don't know, and he looks like Ivern. That's why I'm like, oh, he's like Ivern. He's not like Ivern at all. He's utility. I want to say the only reason I'm not putting Tinker below is because I see him in low elo all the time. And if he's in low elo and people know how to play him generally, then he must be easy to use. Okay, Troll Warlord. If it'll ever load. He's not necessarily the best character in the game, but he's definitely an A tier. I think he's probably easy to use, and he is very hard to kill. Let's be completely honest here. Troll Warlord is very hard to kill, and has crazy attack, can push very easily. I think he's a little bit brain dead. And that's why he's A tier. I would put him in S tier, but I just don't think he's that quality. If it'll ever let me drag it in. Ah, man. This website. At least we're almost done. Okay. Well, that's loading, I guess. We'll move on to Tusk. Tusk. Where would I put Tusk? So Tusk is a great support. He's really got 3 abilities that you're going to use. He's got the punch, which is like, obviously it can like do a lot of damage, but also it singles out somebody and keeps them in a position for a couple seconds at least. You know, while they're airborne, they can't really do anything. So I'm gonna put him in A tier because he's not really like an AoE. He can get his teammates out of trouble too, but I don't think he's like an S tier. I don't think he's a Lich. I don't think he's an Enigma. I don't think he's a Jakiro. He's like right on the cusp of being that good. He can be better than all those characters. Support wise, he's one of the best. That's why he's A tier. He's one of the best. But he's not the best. Okay, now this guy. This is a weird one. Undying. Now I know you're thinking he's very easy to counter. But it's like sometimes so much is going on that you can't even note it. Like you can't go after the tombstone sometimes. Like I feel like he's just too easy to use and too useful in a big team fight. Like it's too. He's like A B tier, but I'm rounding up to A tier. Okay, now we got Ursa. If it'll ever load. Oh man, come on. Ursa is kind of a unique character. Reduce damage by 80%. Or 90%. I can't remember what it is. When he uses his ult, which is just ridiculous. And then he gets like BKB. He's kind of like unkillable. Yes. Why? Tiermaker.com. Never again will I use this website if I do this. He is definitely an A tier. He's not an S tier, and the reason why is because I feel like he's not super useful in the game overall. Like he's very good at fighting, he's very good at being a tank, but it seems like he wants to farm. He's not like a massive team fighter, and he's only kind of like an assassin. He only goes on one person. He can slow multiple people, but he's only killing by auto attack. He's not using any spells. I think if he had like spells that would, I don't know, it's hard to say. But he doesn't have like amazing mobility either. Like I'm comparing him to Lifestealer right now. Like why is Lifestealer an S tier? Because he does what Ursa does. He takes like no magic damage. Obviously, he's very tanky. He does lots of damage, but he also has very good escape and mobility. That's why Lifestealer is S and Ursa's A tier. That's my opinion. Vengeful Spirit. And this one, I'm just going to put her in A tier because she has like that swap ability. She has a stun. So that's like two useful things about her. And I feel like she's relatively easy to use. Otherwise, she'd be B tier. Because she only has like... Oh my gosh, can I just do this? Okay, thank you. Yeah, she's not quite an S tier, but she's definitely good. Okay, this character might surprise you. Venomancer. I'm putting him in S tier because incredibly easy to use, and he can just take out an entire team with one button. All he has to do is press one button, and he has to just be near them. If he presses that one button, they're all gonna have to retreat, or they're all gonna have to like die to his team, pretty much, unless he's the only one left. And even then, sometimes he'll get them all. Let's be honest. Viper. Very solid, very easy to use. Maybe overrated. I feel like you have to actually be good to be good with him. Good positioning and whatnot. It's kind of like Sniper, but more useful, more damage. Okay. This one's kind of tough. Visage. Visage is a harder to use character. Honestly, I don't remember him doing massive amounts of damage, but I'm probably just totally wrong. You don't see him very often anymore, but he's not brain dead at all. I'm gonna put him in the C tier because he can be really good, but it has to be a really good player to use him. Okay, Void Spirit. We're gonna put Void Spirit in B tier, brain dead. Warlock. I'm putting him in the A tier. He's kind of an S tier character. I feel like he's between S tier and A tier. So a lot of these are actually kind of like A plus. He's like an A plus. It's hard to say. I think he's an A plus, if I had to say. Okay, Weaver. Incredibly annoying, but he's not an S tier. Actually, he's a B tier. Let's be honest, the only thing he is very annoying. I mean, he does damage. He's damage and very annoying. Oh my goodness. Oh, stop. I didn't mean to click that. Weaver will go in the B tier. He's okay, but he's just annoying. And then moving on, Wind Ranger. Wind Ranger is more annoying than Weaver. Good pusher. It's hard to say. But she's also very killable. But she also has CC. That's hard to use. I'm gonna have to say she's like a B plus. She's easy to kill. Weaver obviously S. You know what's more interesting as an actual Dota player? This page unresponsive. Can't the page just respawn? I only need like 2 more minutes on this page, please. Please, man. All I ask. It's so sad. I just want to finish. Can it finish? I think Weaver is B tier. Like I said, he's just annoying, and Wind Ranger is B plus. Now, Wyvern, if it ever lets me drag him, Wyvern is S tier. The reason Wyvern is S tier is because his ultimate is too good. Not okay. I know what you're thinking. Like, yes, it's only targeting the one person, but it makes his nearby teammates attack him, which puts his nearby teammates in a bad position. I think he's like an A plus, but I'm gonna round up to like S minus. I think he's like an S minus. Like, it's really just like the ult that we have for him, but his ultimate is so good that I think he gets into the S bracket. Oh my goodness. Can I click and drag? I'm going crazy, dude. Like, my Google Chrome is responding, obviously, but it's this website. Oh, there we go. I have a second. Yes. Come on, go. It's letting me. Yes. Okay. Whoo. Alright. Let's chill for a second. Not get too crazy now. Not get too crazy. It actually worked for a second. Witch Doctor. Can I be honest with you guys? Am I gonna lose subscribers right now? Can I be honest with you guys? He's not a support. He's a confused character. I know what you're thinking. His ultimate is really good. It's okay. That's the only thing Witch Doctor is. Witch Doctor is a confused character who's not that good. I think he can be really good. I think you have to be good with him. But let's think about his kit. He's a support. He's supposed to be a support. Very squishy. His first ability is kind of like a stun in a team fight. Obviously, it could like bounce around and stun everyone. It could be very good. His second ability is useless. The health regeneration thing, why would you even use that? His kit is not like Juggernaut's. Juggernaut's makes sense why he has that healing ward follow him, because he goes in hard. Witch Doctor doesn't go in hard, it runs away. It's like a useless ability. I don't know, I've never been a fan of it. It's like a waste of mana to even activate it. Third ability, Maledict. Good ability. It's like a dueling ability. And obviously his ultimate is a channel. He needs gold to be able to use his ultimate, pretty much, because he needs to go invisible. Because he needs to be able to channel his ultimate. And it's really kind of useless if he's not invisible, so he has to spend gold to be able to use one of his abilities. I think he's just needs some help. Okay, Wraith King. If it'll let me drag. Wraith King, pretty easy to use and incredibly useful. And I can't remember if it's the Aghanim Scepter or something, but like his teammates also get the dying thing. Like they die and they're resurrected for like 10 seconds or 5 seconds or something. Incredibly useful. If it ever responds. Okay, now Zeus is also going to go in the A tier. The reason Zeus is going in the A tier is because tons of damage, easy to use mid laner, and his ultimate, you don't even have to be there. You can be at any team fight at any time if you're alive without being there. And it's always going to do the same amount of damage. Like Nature's Prophet is sort of similar, but you don't know when it's going to hit. You don't know how much damage it's going to do. You always know how much damage Zeus is going to do. You have a good idea of, you know, like how much damage you're going to do, how much you're actually going to be able to help. Okay, and then the last one, Hoodwink. I don't know why they put Hoodwink at the last. It's out of order alphabetically. Hoodwink is a very annoying character to lane against, but is it good in the late game? That's tough to say. I think it's okay. I think it's relatively easy to use, does massive amounts of damage. I think it's really good in the mid and early game, or more of the mid game. I think it's more of a mid game character. And for that reason, oh, no way. I'm going to put in the B tier. Yes, I don't have to click anymore. Oh, okay. For that reason, I'm going to put it in the B tier. Because later in the game, it only has one ability, and that's its ultimate. Otherwise, I think it would be higher. But it's more of like a Monkey King who's annoying. Where is Monkey King at? Yeah, she has good mobility, though. Monkey King's going down here. She's kind of like a Monkey King who's... actually, Monkey King is more useful. Because at least... no. It's hard to say, man. They're the same usefulness. Okay. I'm not going to try to click them and drag them. Let's just pretend that Hoodwink and Monkey King are B plus A minus. They're like good, but they're not the best. They're really similar, in my opinion. Those characters have a lot of similar qualities. Anyways, guys, I'm so sick of this website. It's not loading. Take a good look at the tier list. Take a good look. You can pause the video if you're watching later on YouTube. Anyways, guys, I'm curious to read the comments at the end of this. I've been kind of ignoring the chat because I had to talk so much. This is a long live stream for just the tier list. But anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this tier list. And like I said at the beginning, if you want me to do more tier lists, let me know in the comments below of this video. I'll be reading them. Anyways, guys, I'm out of here. I'm curious to see what you guys think of this tier list. Anyways, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. If you enjoyed, leave a like. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. The list is very off, sorry. Well, too bad.